how to use a hardware synthesizer with a computer. Couple different ways you can do this, right? First off, let's assume that you have a interface. If you don't know what that is, I can link a little video in the description here. But if you got an interface and you have a cable to plug the output of your synthesizer into your sound card, first thing you can do is just straight up, use the keys. And you'll be getting audio coming through, and you'll be able to hear it, and you'll be able to record it, and if you're good at playing keys, then you're off to the races, right? That's the first way. The second way is a particularly cool way to do this, and to me, it's the way you can get the most out of your hardware synthesizer using a computer, right? So, yep, still keep the audio plugged into the computer. I don't think that's going to change, because it's the audio from the synth that you want to capture, right? I'd say almost all production software has the ability to program notes and keyboard-style lines, whether they're melodies or chords or basic, whatever. So if I did this and I made this little melody here, on this software that I'm using right now, instead of the sound, I'm going to pick a tool called MIDI out, right? And I'm going to put it on the same track that I got these notes programmed into. Now you're going to need to take your hardware synth and plug it into your computer using USB. Hopefully you got a USB, then it's an easy one. You just plug it right in. If you don't have a USB and you just have that 5-pin circle, the standard MIDI jack, you may need to get an adapter that goes from MIDI to USB like this one here. Sometimes you even have a 5-pin MIDI input on the back of your interface like I do on this little guy here. If that's the case, I want to take one end of the cable and plug it into the MIDI in of my synthesizer because I want the messages coming in to the synthesizer. I don't want to send the messages out from, I want to send the computer into the synth. And if I'm not using the USB, I'm going to plug that MIDI cable into the out of the computer's interface or the computer sound card, right? If the connection is solid and I've set up my software to recognize that synth that I'm using, I can do this. I can play the little melody I wrote here and send it to my hardware synthesizer. The synth will recognize that and play those notes for me using the sound that I've created on the synth, okay? So if I play this little melody on a loop, it frees up my hands to affect the synth in real time. Like I can do some of these. Or I could do this move here. I can mess with the filter or whatever. And I'm recording the audio of that synthesizer like I would with a guitar or whatever else. It's basically playing itself, and I'm capturing the audio that it's playing instead of me having to play it by myself, right? And this is kind of why some synths have no keyboard, like this one here, Something like this generally has to be triggered by some other piece of equipment, whether it's a computer or a keyboard controller, something like that you can get on the side. Maybe I'm not that good at playing keyboard, which is kind of true. I can program these chords that are kind of difficult to switch between and just record the MIDI going into the synth and the synth playing itself. And honestly, this is no different than the MIDI notes that I programmed sending messages to the software. The software is just reading those notes, like my synthesizer is reading those notes, Anyway, that's probably how you'd use your hardware synth with your recording software. Subscribe if you can. Apart from that, have a good day. Take care, you guys.